from Lad Baby to Rage Against the Machine and, of course, to Cliff Richard, Spice Girls as well. The list of performers to land a Christmas #1 is very diverse. It does not yet include a politician.
Yet. The Lib Dem leader, Sir Davey, has teamed up with a young carers choir to create a charity single called Love Is Enough. Here's a bit of it, and then we're going to have a chat to him. And Sir Davey joins us now. Morning.
Good morning.
Have you got a good singing voice?
Not now. I enjoy singing, but when I was a kid, I was a chorister. And actually, that's how this whole story started. The widow of my former choirmaster, early this year, sent me a cassette, I remember those, of me singing in 1978 in the bleak midwinter as a soloist in my choir. And the reason why it's quite poignant was that was just before I started quite intense caring for my mum, who was terminally ill with bone cancer. And we'd visited the Young Carers Choir in Bath, the Bath Philharmonia before, and been really impressed with their work. And then we started joining the dots and said, could we do something with them? And the original idea was we do a recording of me singing age 13, and then they'd sing it again. But we've discovered that they'd written their own song, well, Love Is Enough, and it's so much better.
Let's break this down. So we've got a recording of you when you were 13. Here we go. Let's have a listen. That's not bad. What are you singing there? That's quite angelic.
Well, I was a treble. I was a chorister with my ruff and cassock and things, and I used to love it. And when Mum was ill, it was one of my escape things.
Absolutely. Music, just being able to be creative and do something just for yourself at that moment.
And that's the whole project of the Young Carers in Bath, working with this amazing group of musicians. And they've been doing it for 19 years, right? This is not a new thing for them. But this song, Love Is Enough, written by 6 carers, talking about their experience, really moved me. And it was interesting listening. When I read the words, I thought, well, that's how I felt.
People are quite cynical about politicians. You listening to yourself as a young boy and recounting the story of your own mother and those things, these are very real experiences, aren't they? Very emotional, personal experiences. When you hear that, do you think maybe that, I don't know, you tell me your story, whether the seeds were planted of wanting to do something about the world we live in, which sounds very airy-fairy in a way, but do you think those seeds were planted when you were a young boy, or was there no real connection at that time?
I wouldn't say I was... I didn't even know I was a young carer, right? I was looking after my mum.
You're just doing it.
Just doing it.
Yeah.
That's what all carers do. They just look after their loved ones. And that's one of the challenges we have, by the way, because people don't identify as a carer. And so trying to make sure they're getting the support they can, and when they're not, don't even know that they're a carer. In terms of...
This is your mum, we should explain, this is your mum and dad picture on their wedding day, which we can see the smile on your face when you look at that. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you.
I didn't know my dad, really, because he died when I was 4.
Right.
And so when Mum became ill, it was me and my brothers, and mainly my brother Henry and myself looking after her with my nan and granddad, and help from the neighbours. There was a lovely Indian family across the road, Malhotras, who used to do the best curries. And that sort of, you know, providing food for you was important because, you know, Mum couldn't cook because she wasn't well enough.
Just join the dots then. So you entered politics and then you got a voice, and it's something that you are very vocal about. And indeed, the government is now saying, the new government, 5 months in, is saying the NHS, various sectors they are trying to reach, to change things. This is not easy.
No, it's not. I mean, if I deal with young carers for the moment, part of the reason of this initiative is to create greater awareness. And if you are a young carer watching this, or you know a young carer, go to Carers Trust website and put your postcode in, and you can find if there's a young carers project near you. So I'm trying to do my bit in opposition, but I want the government to do a lot more, because there are a number of areas where there aren't young carers projects, and the NHS doesn't tend to recognise carers, be they young carers or older carers. And that's a huge mistake, because carers often know much better about their loved one than the doctors will ever know.
You'll be well aware Sir Keir Starmer is putting out a series of pledges, and we will hear the detail a little later on this morning. But people have criticised this government already for the lack of attention to social care, for example, which fits within what you're talking about. And what would you want to be hearing today in terms of what they want to achieve?
Well, you're absolutely right. Social care is just not being talked about. They've put nothing in, really. And I don't believe, Liberal Democrats don't believe, that you can sort out the NHS unless you sort out social care and indeed support family carers. It's social care and family carers that I'm talking about. And I think actually, if you get behind people and give them just a bit extra support, that could take so much pressure off the NHS and make people's lives just that bit easier.
I should say, of course, as you know, we would ask the Department for Health and Social Care, saying this government inherited a social care system in crisis, determined to tackle the significant challenges, build a national care service so everybody can access the high-quality care they deserve, and have spoken about the extra allocation of 86 million for disabled facilities grants to bolster support for councils, but again, not younger carers in this statement. But I'm sure that is a developing.
There's no doubt that the government inherited a total mess, right? I mean, that's, I don't think, is in dispute. But they're just going so slowly, and they don't seem to be listening to people. And we'll see what the Prime Minister says today. But I'm concerned that there's not enough emphasis on social care or on GPs, actually. Because they're talking about waiting lists, but I just don't believe you can get the waiting list down and take the pressure off hospitals unless it's easier for people to see a GP.
To bring it back round to the carers you've made this record with, and I kind of pick up on the cynicism around politicians, you know, because we saw you in the campaign, the election campaign, and you were quite blatant about it. You're talking about me jumping here, jumping there, getting wet, you know, whatever. How did they feel? Did they feel that you were going to add to their message, or did you have to have the conversation about, look, I'm a politician and I'm not going to use this politically, I just want it in the purest sense to highlight what's going on?
Well, they'll have to speak for themselves, but we had a lovely time. I felt I clicked with them.
You must have been conscious about them thinking about that, though.
Well, I was wearing my Christmas jumper and making a bit of a fool of myself, and it was just fun, you know. I just enjoy being with people, and these young people are just so inspiring. You're not talking about their caring experiences the whole time. Like they've gone to that project to get away from it, right? But occasionally in the breaks, they talk about what's going on at home, and it's just quite awe-inspiring what they're going through.
Sir Davey, thank you. I just wonder whether you would be interested in, and I know it's a very serious subject matter and the reason you've done it, but on a slightly lighter note, would you like to lay down the gauntlet for the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition to follow in your footsteps of recording a song for Christmas?
Sir Keir Starmer said at PMQs he wasn't going to do it.
Well, do you think he might be persuadable? Do you think
know.
that might yet... I mean, what do you think?
Well, the question is, can they do the TikTok videos, you know, because that's where I'm scoring.
This is where you setting the bar high. Sir Davey, Leader of the Lib Dems, thank you very much for your time with us.